Texas is the theme. And Pello, they are made in Texas. And check this out. I got some Texas themes here, right? Cowboy stuff going. But hey, let's talk about these two paddles. Right here, I have the Pello PX1 and the Pello PX2. This retails for $99.99 and this retails for $139. So let's talk about the differences. So looking here, you can see the weave here. This has 3K Toray carbon fiber. That's 3,000 per toe, 3,000 filaments. Now this is more fine. This has 18,000. That's a ton of difference. Man, yikes. 18 divided by 3. That's like 6 times, right? So let me tell you, I'm playing with these, and on an offensive side, I mean, I like these paddles on the cross-to-course, you know, the cross-court dinking. I mean, I also like the Pro Light Hyperweave. So this reminds me of those paddles. If I had to compare the two, I would say that these, you know, have a little more pop, while the Pro Light Hyperweave has a little more control. Oh, by the way, you know, earlier in one of my videos, I talked about how my aunts had to drive over state lines hundreds of miles to get Lone Star. Cool thing is, you don't need to do that anymore. Same with these Texas paddles. They're available at Just Paddles, and that's where I like to go because they get the paddle to me quickly. I'm a state away. One day later, here it is. So let me talk about more of these paddles. They're both cool. Build quality. I love what they do differently than what I've seen. Instead of the brand name on the butt caps, they have the model name. So if you like to have these both, because they're very similar, you can decide what you want. Let me tell you what I noticed. So on the PX2, it is a little more gritty. So I played with it. I'm able to get a little more spin with this. And I mean, that's one thing I noticed differently between the two. But where I noticed a real difference is on the defensive side. When I'm getting a hard hit, for me, I feel like the 18,000 filaments, they're all little soldiers up there helping me to block. And I mean, they're preventing me from refracting more. I'm able to be more secure on the blocks. And I like these paddles because for me, these are a good balance between power and control. Not too much power, you know, and not too little, not too much control. But I would say these are more control paddles with a little bit of pop. And I also like the fact that they're very thin because they feel very light in the hand for me. And they work pretty well. Also, they come with this cool cover. You got a nice cover here. So, I got some Western books I want to talk about. You know, people talk about grandma and grandmothers and, you know, women reading their bodice-ripping romance novels. Hey, I want to tell you a little secret. I volunteer at the VA. When I volunteer there, you know, I'm at the library. I know some of the most popular books are the Lone Star and the Long Arm Western series. They are very risque. There's a lot of graphic scenes in them. But I want to tell you something. It's not for me to judge. This book itself, it's kind of like antiquated with the, you know, there's an Asian main character and some of the stuff is stereotypical. Yeah, it bothers me, but I'm not there to judge that. And I'll tell you why. My dad, he served this country and he was there in a wheelchair, confined to a wheelchair. He can only push a button for the last 6 or 7 years of his life. And, you know, he loved the fantasy, the escaping. And I mean, you know, this book took him to a whole different world that his body could not take him to. And it's not for me to judge your reading, his reading, or anyone else's. And I hope you don't judge mine. So I want you to know, I am totally against censorship. I mean, there's been a lot of censorship in Oklahoma. There's been censorship in even Texas, in Tennessee. Oh, and shout out to Shawnee Heights. Recently, they told the censors to go take a leap. Take a flying leap. Isn't that cool? So just say no to censorship, but say yes to pickleball. And hey, you know, if you're playing with these paddles, let me tell you, don't be surprised if the other side wants to censor you because you're kicking that butt. And these are both Pickleball Librarian approved.